Dear friends, let us take a moment of silence to remember the 85 Canadians who lost their life on that tragic moment. You know that I'm joined here by Special Advisor Goodale, who has been instrumental in everything we've been doing since day one, and Minister Garneau, which is wanting to make sure has been an ally from day one of the families. But I think let us take a minute of silence to remember those, the loved ones, and those that weren't down on this fateful day in Tehran. My dear friends, I am humbled by your presence. I feel with emotion today, just like I felt in London when you remember the first time where we created the International Coordination and Response Group to make sure that we would answer to the Iranian regime for the crime that has been committed. And I think your words have been appropriate, just, and should resonate throughout the world. I have been trying with Special Advisor Goodale and Minister Garneau from day one to be your voice, to seek the justice, the accountability, the transparency that everyone has questions, questions which remain unanswered. The families have questions. The government of Canada has questions. The international community should ask questions. And at every step of the way, we try to honor the memory of the families. In lockstep with the families, you have been the inspiration for me and my colleagues. You have been the energy which has carried us day after day to try to fight for justice, to stand up for the regime. And I will always remember every time that I've been talking to you, you have given us that renewed energy to continue until we have all the answers that we deserve from the Iranian regime. The first time when we met, we were seeking consular access. That was the first pillar we had. And I must say on that end, many families had the opportunities to join their loved ones and some to come back to Canada. The second thing was the repatriation of remains, which we worked together with the families to try to bring the remains for those who wanted to come back here on Canadian soil. The third pillar of our action was about the investigation, the civil investigation, the air safety investigation, which I must say Minister Garneau has been leading to make sure that we would understand, and it goes beyond the black boxes. It goes beyond the simple answers that have been given. We want to know, we want to understand, we want to prevent. And that's what Minister Garneau has been bringing to the world, a safer sky initiatives. Why was the airport open on that night? Why did we leave the airspace open? How can the international community let that happen? And what do we need to do to seize the moment, to honor the memories of each and every one of the victims, to make sure that crimes like that never happen, and that we work together to improve the air safety system. The second piece was about the criminal investigation. And there I must say, Minister Goodale, as I still call him as my good friend, has been instrumental in trying to help us to find ways with our friends from Ukraine. And I want to acknowledge the ambassador of Ukraine. Our Ukrainian colleague have led in the criminal investigation with RCMP officers to try to understand who is responsible. We know that the suspects and the witnesses and the evidence is in Iran, but we're going to try to do our really best to make sure that we find those who are responsible. We will not accept simple answers. We will not accept to be sidesteps. We will not accept an Iranian regime who would want to get on with it. We're not getting on with it. We want to go to the bottom of things. At every step of the way, we'll be working with the International Coordination and Response Group, where you mentioned the United Kingdom, Afghanistan, Ukraine, and Sweden stood up to the Iranian regime. And I had the privilege to chair it, to be your voice. And I know it disturbs. I'd rather speak individually, but we're going to stand together with each and every member of the families, because that's the way we can have the biggest impact. When we speak, the world should listen. The Iranian regime should listen. So we're going to continue with Special Advisor Goodell and the countries of the world who have rallied, who want to demand justice. And we'll do our very best. We will not rest until we get the answers that you deserve. And we will be with you at every step of the way. You can hear in my voice, I'm a bit emotional because many of you have met the very first day when we were charting that trajectory together, that journey toward justice, accountability, transparency, and reparation, to the extent there can never be reparation when someone have lost a loved one. And the fourth pillar is the reparation issues, which, as you know, we have been launching. And I hear your call for more transparency. And we're going to work with our international partners to provide you that. For me, I've tried to be an open book since day one. It's your families, it's our cause. And I understand that. And we want to make sure that every step of the way we keep you informed. We are energized by the ideas that you submit to us, by the suggestions that you have made, which have allowed us to do better. And Minister Goodell, Special Advisor Goodell, has been good to document that so that we have the best practices. We consulted, for example, with our Dutch colleague, which have had to go to MH17, and the 10 best practice we have implemented. Actually, we're writing new rules on how to engage, how to bring justice to families of crimes where we see that. And we're going to continue to call on ICAO to feel the responsibility of what happened, to help us in the journey that the family wants justice and accountability. On these words, I just want to say, we will not rest until you don't rest. And we will not rest together until we get to the bottom of things. And every time that I see each and every one of you, I want to say that this has been a cause. You know, when you enter politics, sometimes you wonder what's going to be ahead of you. But that has been a moment, a defining moment for the Prime Minister, for myself, for Minister Goodell and Garneau, to work with you along the way, not to be intimidated ever by an Iranian regime who would not want us to go to the bottom of things, not to be intimidated by the complexities of the issues that we face, and not to be intimidated to call it as it is. And like I said, I always judge the Iranian regime, not by their words, but by their actions. And this is going to continue. So with that, let's pray together. Nothing will ever bring them back, but in faith for their memories, we will argue as hard as one can imagine to provide the answers that you deserve and that they deserve. God bless you.